Today is a beautiful day to be outside. In Mississippi, it is 90 degrees with like 50% humidity. It is beautiful outside, absolutely beautiful. And I don't know if you can hear the wind, but we also have a nice wind going. Really good day to work outside. And today I'm going to be cleaning up a couple trails. Specifically, I can't see where it is in this little screen. The trail that way, that's got a lot of overgrowth coming in from the top. What I'm going to use to clean it up is the LaneShark. This is the LaneShark LS3. If you're interested in more information on LaneShark, go to their website, LaneShark.com, and you can see all the different size articulating rotary cutters that they have available for the front loader of your tractor. You can pair up a different model for the tractor specifics, primarily the hydraulic flow. So this is a hydraulic motor that spins off of your third function on the tractor. It spins these blades. Now it's not just a normal third function, it has to have a continuous flow third function. So previously I installed the continuous flow section, which is this right here, and prior to that I already had the third function installed. So third function plus continuous flow allows for control of this hydraulic motor articulated on its side. One thing to note, actually I guess two things to note. Number one, anytime you're changing the position of something like this, you always want to turn the engine off and not have any hydraulic pressure at all, obviously. But also these hoses, you never want to loop them underneath this articulating arm. Just keep them on top of everything. And the easiest way to do that, because this can get kind of confusing when you're trying to articulate this with it already hooked up, I just get out there to where I want to start working, put it in position, and then hook up the hoses. Keep the hoses unhooked until the very last minute. That'll save you a lot of headache, and also it'll save you from accidentally putting the hoses in a different position that'll end up getting bound up when you actually articulate it. So this is going to cut the side of the trail, right? This is on its side of the tractor, vertical position. It's going to cut the side of the trail, and I'm pairing it with, I've never done this before, so we'll see if this tractor can handle it. I'm pairing it with a pretty old 5-foot rotary cutter that a relative is so kind enough to let me borrow and continue beating up, because it was already beat up, but yeah, I made it worse. So eventually I have to cut all that out and replace it. But right now I'm going to do some double cutting up there, whatever falls, chop chop chop. I did walk this all the way there and back with this camera, just for the before and after, and it's hard to see what's showing up on this little itty-bitty camera screen. Maybe it's bigger if I watch it on my computer screen when I edit this video. But what I'm wanting to get rid of is stuff like this, right? These branches continuously grow in from the side, and as you're driving on the trail, they'll whack you on the side-by-side, or whack you on the tractor, or they'll get a hold of the ROPS, the rollover protection system on the tractor, and then come back and smack you as they go around it. So there's a lot of that to cut on this trail. Most of it, I think every bit of it, should be within the cutting capacity of the LaneShark. I don't think anything is more than 1.5 inches really. But again, we've got all this other crap that just hangs down, and as you're driving you just get whacked right in the face. Also, something else that may or may not come through on camera is all of this washout we have on the ground. This is an old four-wheeler trail, so there's ruts through here, and it's just not flat, we'll say. So I'm curious to see how crazy that articulating arm gets going over this. Obviously it's not a highway, I'm not going to be flying through here, but that is an obstacle to at least mention. Yeah, here you can get a better view of all this has to go. All of that has to go. You can't see it, but right in the middle over there, there's a whole tree hanging down right in the middle too. All right, enough talking, let's get to work. things in life that just make you smile. When we got our when we got our first home and I was able to buy a big boy lawnmower, I bought a riding lawnmower, and I cut our grass, and the second time I cut our grass, and the third time I cut our grass, after a few times of really getting it dialed in as far as cutting the grass, you have that, like, that moment that they talk about on, what is it, the car insurance commercials? We can't help you, we can't stop you from turning into your parents, but we can save you money on car insurance, right? That first lawn moment of like, oh, I've got a great lawn. Well, I don't have a lawn anymore, but I've got some trails. Look how clean that is. That is so cool. I have a feeling that this is going to be one of those moments where you're on vacation and you see these beautiful mountains, or you see this grand image, something that looks so good to you. You take a picture of it, and then you look back onto that picture and you think, huh, the picture just doesn't have the same feeling. That's the way I feel right now. I'm looking through the camera and I'm like, yeah, I guess it looks like it's cut up real good. It's nice and manicured. But I'm looking past the camera and thinking, man, I could drive my truck through here. It is so cool. Nothing on this whole path. This is one of the main trails on our property, so I wanted to get it done first. Nothing on this main path will hit any four-wheeler, will hit any side-by-side, will hit my tractor with or without the ROPS up, the rollover protection system. And quite honestly, if I drove my truck through here, which I could, nothing would hit my truck. It's the little things in life, folks. It's the little things. Today's beautiful weather, beautiful day, great progress on this trail. Speaking of great progress, this took no time at all. I was on the tractor for like a half hour and probably took about 2 hours to get everything ready to actually do this because of the camera and blah 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 blah. Look at this trail. This is wide open. Wide open. I do have a few specific things to mention before I wrap this video up. First thing is PPE. So as you're sitting on this seat right here, the blades are all off that way. There's a deck in between you and the blades, and then there's a right side, back side, and left side shroud on the machine itself to prevent anything from coming your way. However, a couple times when I was up in the air and it was still cutting up like this, I had a few things kind of break down this way, like they broke but weren't disconnected, and then they were cut and then they would be thrown off this way. Now they were thrown over here, they never did come to me. I had one thing fly over this way as well, which is the opposite direction of the rotation, so that was weird. So nothing came and flew at me. However, PPE is recommended. Obviously this is my little chainsaw helmet, and it has been an absolute awesome accessory for the tractor. You always have a flip down eye protection that doesn't fog up like glasses will. It's a mesh screen right there, and you have hearing protection built in, ready to go at all times, and you have a hard hat. So when stuff falls from the sky, which it will around here when there's trees everywhere, it'll hit the helmet and not your head. I really recommend picking one of these up. The second thing that I want to mention once again is that this motor is a hydraulic powered motor. It's powered by hydraulic pressure, hydraulic flow going through the system here. So this tractor has two hydraulic systems. One internally for the movement. This is a 4035H from Bad Boy. H meaning a hydrostat transmission. TYM Branson is basically the same thing. So the first internal system of hydraulic pressure is for the movement of the actual machine. The second system is all external. This, if I'm not mistaken, is the hydraulic pump. I believe this large diameter hose right here is the intake. That's where it's sucking hydraulic fluid from the reservoir, and then it pumps the fluid into the rest of the secondary or external system. So that pump has to power both of these elevation cylinders for the bucket, both of these curl cylinders for the bucket, as well as both of the power steering cylinders down there. So if you're trying to steer, you're trying to turn, as you change the elevation, as you change the curl, as you're trying to make a cut, well, you're not going to have maximum amount of flow going through here. It's just the way that it is. So for everything that I cut today, I didn't have to worry about that at all. It cut it just fine. But keep that in mind, depending on the tractor that you have, depending on the amount of hydraulic flow that you have. Anytime you make adjustments and movements, it's going to rob power from the motor. So everything that I cut today was no problem. But if you're going to approach something large diameter to cut, well within the specs of the motor, of course, then it makes sense to position the cutter head first and then just drive into it. That way you get the maximum amount of power for the cut. I didn't have any issues with anything that I cut today, and I think the largest diameter, I didn't measure anything, but the largest diameter of anything that I cut looked to be about 1.5 inches. Nothing crazy, but it did the job just fine. Finally, the fact that this is offset to one side, well, of course, that means that you can get right up next to some trees and cut them nice and flush without your tires getting in the way, obviously. But because it is offset to one side, if you have a tree, say like right here, but you want to get around it to cut something behind it, you can kind of turn around and kind of hook this around a tree or so to get even further of a reach that you otherwise wouldn't be able to get if this was just simply right there. If you are interested in more information, check out LaneShark's website. I believe it's LaneShark.com. They are a made in the USA company. This particular one that I showed you here, this is the LS3. There are a few different models, and they just came out with a much larger one that does more than this. I believe it's the Hammerhead. Correct me if I'm wrong. You can go to the website and find out for sure. Thank you to LaneShark for partnering with me on a few videos. This this has been a fun day, and I know for sure that this is going to save me so much time in the future managing the rest of the trails, which I will tackle another day. I've got to get off here, go take my daughter to Kung Fu of all things. You guys take care, have a great day, and I'll talk to you in the next video.